When we think of Disney and the characters that inhabit its universe, we're greeted with images of triumphant kindness and stories that always culminate in the most happily of ever afters. It's a world where the good guys are good without question and the villains are the baddest of the bad. The House of Mouse doesn't often trade in the morally ambiguous, and it's one of the reasons we adore Disney so much. We know what we're getting, and unlike the world outside, positivity is a sure thing. For as structured and well-meaning as Disney can be with its characters, they still fall by the wayside when it comes to making the most legal of decisions. In fact, despite their best intentions, a lot of Disney's heroes are themselves often as guilty of breaking the law as the villains they face. Today we'll be looking at some cases where Disney characters have made some ill-advised choices that, in the real world, would land them in hot water. Naturally, we're assuming that the actions of Disney villains are, by nature of the characters committing them, illegal. Today's list instead focuses on heroes who, for one reason or another, have committed some pretty egregious crimes. And no, I'm not just talking about breaking into song, though that could be a noise violation in some places. Without further ado, my name is Tim, and today on Channel Frederator, here's a look at several Disney moments that would have gotten characters hauled off to jail in real life. Let's get started.
Number 1. The Beast takes hostages. Few characters in the Disney universe cross over into morally gray territory as much as the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Cursed by a witch to live as a furry monster from the time he was young, the Beast is a character who we're supposed to view with an air of tragic sympathy. Even his gruff nature is presented as a front for a softer soul, a defense mechanism of a creature who has been shunned and ostracized from the world. While all of this is revealed to be true, we can't help but notice that the Beast still makes some choices that could hardly be considered benevolent. Early in the plot, the Beast takes Belle's father Maurice hostage in his castle. When Belle attempts to rescue him, the Beast negotiates a trade. Belle must exchange herself for Maurice as the Beast's captive. Using her father's safety as his bargaining chip, the Beast extorts Belle into forfeiting her freedom. This makes the Beast an abductor, captor, and ruthless negotiator. Even though Gaston is the baddie of the movie, his actions in comparison are a lot less harsh and way less criminal. Sure, Gaston is a major jerk, but he's not taking hostages and using human lives to get what he wants. Belle gets over the fact that the Beast kidnapped her and her father and marries him because he's misunderstood. In the real world, the Beast wouldn't get a fairy tale wedding and in fact would probably get 20 to life. Number 2. Aladdin falsifies his identity. In an era where anyone can purport to be anyone or anything they want online, we forget that there are real-life consequences to claiming an identity that isn't yours, especially if the intent is for financial or personal gain. In Aladdin, our hero masquerades as royalty. When he uses that identity to earn trust of others under false pretenses, we start entering some shaky moral ground. Not only is Aladdin posing as the Prince Ali and claiming access to a fortune he doesn't have, he's using it to romance Jasmine. This is still wrong, magical circumstances notwithstanding. When Jasmine catches on during their magic carpet ride, he lies even further to keep up appearances. You can't even begin to imagine the sort of trouble Aladdin would be in if this were real life. And if you want to make the case that this is historical and there wasn't identity theft back in ye old times, him marrying Jasmine would have been against the law. The Sultan has to abolish actual legislation to let the two marry. Number 3. Prince Charming smooching without consent. Sure, it's a long-held fairy tale trope that the sleeping maiden can be awoken with a kiss from her true love, who often happens to be mega-rich royalty. But outside of storybooks, this notion goes from cute to creepy. In the real world, it's a big no-no to put the moves on someone without their conscious approval, and kissing a lady while she's sleeping doesn't imply consent. For years, we've raised kids on the idea that Prince Charming's peck is a symbol of true romance, when in fact it's an action that would and should land him in the clink. Without Sleeping Beauty or Snow White being awake to give the lip lock a thumbs up, the only locking that would be going on is the prince behind bars. Smooching sleeping people is no bueno, and before you make a mouth-to-mouth comparison where implied consent does come up, you would have to be certified and using an approved breathing barrier. Do not use CPR as a romantic excuse. There are much more romantic things. Number 4. Robin Hood is a thief. No one on earth is going to disagree that Robin Hood is a good guy attempting to do good things. However, there's intent and then there's laws as they stand. And unfortunately, the law's pretty clear on what Robin Hood's doing. Like it or not, Robin Hood exists in the rare cinematic space where he's the good guy of a story where the villains aren't wrong. Just like Mr. Rooney knew for a fact that Ferris Bueller was skipping school, because he was, the Sheriff of Nottingham takes issue with Robin Hood's actions as a thief, because he is. And as much as we as an audience love the fist-pumping satisfaction of knowing the establishment has been one-upped, in a real-world application, Robin Hood's actions become a little more gray. Vigilanteism exists in a precarious place between justice and crime. Unfortunately, Robin Hood is a character we don't want to see go to jail, but he would get thrown in the slammer for taking his act of protest into illegal territory. Number 5. Timon and Pumbaa take a child that isn't theirs. Remember in The Lion King how Timon and Pumbaa just found Simba half dead on the plains of Africa, so they took him home and raised him? Heartwarming, right? When you think about it in a real-world scenario though, it's a little creepy and a lot illegal. Imagine, if you will, a child who had run away from home was found just wandering the streets of the suburbs. Now imagine if a couple of friends coming home from a restaurant or bar found that kid strutting up the sidewalk and said to themselves, let's take him home and make him ours. What Timon and Pumbaa did isn't kidnapping per se, but it is in the same ballpark. Just because a child runs away from home doesn't mean you get to adopt them. Timon and Pumbaa are established as adults to young Simba, and as such, they should have helped him reunite with his family, not abscond with him in an attempt to have a lion on their side. That's their actual stated reason for this whole thing. The lions aren't in a position to complain when Simba returns to his rightful place, but if the Pride had asked some pointed questions, Timon and Pumbaa would be hard-pressed to provide answers as to why they didn't ever attempt to bring the kid home in the first place. Fortunately, the rules of the animal kingdom are a little more ambiguous than the world of man, because otherwise our favorite savannah duo would likely be facing jail time for aiding and abetting a minor's disappearance. Number 6. Snow White breaking and entering. Following the murderous advances of the evil queen, Snow White is forced to flee into the woods, where she happens upon the dwarves' cottage while they're out working. Taking it upon herself to enter the abode, she cleans up things and gets cozy in their beds. When the 7 dwarves return, they are alarmed to find the intruder, but eventually embrace Snow White with open arms. Their primary concern was whether or not Snow White was a witch. Most cinematic tales of home invasion, like The Strangers, portray the act of going into someone's home uninvited as a major violation of security and comfort. Snow White seemingly gets a pass because she's the movie heroine and has the convenient excuse of being on the run from a murderer. However, 2 wrongs don't make a right, and if she had chosen the home of a less forgiving individual, she'd likely be on her way to the big house.
Thank you for watching Tooned Up's Disney moments that would get you locked up in real life. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy top brutal deaths in cartoons or our top kick-ass Disney princesses. Also, Frederator's online store Stash Right is holding a $1,000 gift card giveaway contest for all your t-shirt and plushie buying needs. All you need to enter is an email. Contest rules applies. Check for a link in the description. Also, Stash Right is currently offering free shipping in the United States and $5 off shipping everywhere else, so go ahead and check those out. Those offers last till April 30th, so go ahead and take advantage of them while they're still going on, and remember, Frederator loves you!